continue to discuss and talk about bots, view bots, chat bots, lurkers. It's just an ongoing subject. Lurkers versus bots. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I don't know. I think lurkers are fine, right? I think Kick really loves lurkers. There's nothing wrong with lurkers. Like if you're sitting back listening to a stream, I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this stream right now. They don't necessarily have it open on their main screen or have it front and center. They might just be listening in, and that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. What there is a problem with is when you have, say, 50, 70, 100, 150 tabs open with all those channels. You can't be lurking in all those channels. That's when it starts to get a little bit skew-if, right? That's when it starts to get a little bit unauthentic rather. So, we have no problem with lurkers, and lurkers count towards all kinds of metrics. We're only talking about when there's tens, if not hundreds, of channels that one person's lurking in, because at that point, that's not lurking. That's just fucking spamming, right?
I say that only because I streamed the other day and there was a big back and forth between a user called Lurk24 and another guy named Best Friend. All right. Now, if you don't know who Lurk24 is, Eddie, apparently this guy likes to emote people, spam emotes quite heavily in a lot of different chats. He's gotten quite sophisticated. And he made some interesting arguments in my chat while we were talking to Best Friend. Best Friend was like, this guy's just going around spamming emotes. Some people are saying because he's spamming people because it ups KPP pay for engagement. Other people just say that he's doing it similar like how Rabbi was doing it. When he was in my chat, he actually told me that this is how he expresses his support for supporters, and that he has autism and that this was his way to communicate. If he was trolling me, I don't know, man. I have no idea. I do have some sympathetic bones in my heart towards the autism spectrum. My daughter's on the spectrum. So it made sense what he was saying. But this is where we get in this gray, nebulous area every time, right? And that's why I'm prefacing all of this, because it's just never just black and white answers, right? So Scotty916 asks, do emotes count as engagements? Does it count as engagement? I think he's probably talking about, does it count towards engagement towards like your KPP?
I think it again comes back to the context, right? I think, for example, if you are sitting in someone's chat and you're currently connected to, say, 1 or 2 live streams and you're leaving an emote every now and again, that there is absolutely fine. Let's say you're, on the other hand, connected to 50 different live streams and you're going from one to the next, 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 and sending an emote in each one. That there again is very different. So we've got 2 very different types of customers, right? We've got one customer here that enjoys using emotes. I love emotes. Probably 70% of the messages I send on Kick are emotes. I fucking love emotes. I just love emotes. They're such a great way to express how you're feeling. There's nothing wrong with emotes. However, if I was to sit on 70 chats at exactly the same time, sending an emote periodically to each individual one, that there isn't exactly the same concept. So yeah, it depends on the context. There's nothing wrong with emotes. It's just how they're used and in what fashion, right? That's it. So, again, it won't negatively affect your view count, but if we're talking about KPP and how KPP takes into consideration how it sort of pays people out, judges what true engagement is, it really comes down to the context of how it's being used. So we can't speak specifically to how all these systems work because we don't want people to try to abuse it, right? You have to be a little bit careful with what we give away, but I think you guys get the idea, right? There is authentic viewership, there is authentic interaction, there is authentic engagement, and then there's unauthentic, right? And as long as it falls into that authentic bucket, then hey, look, Kick is here to support you guys wholeheartedly.
There's a lot of people saying, yeah, Lurk uses scripts to spam emotes. He's with a Discord group called the Kick Fam. So look, I think this just crosses over into shedding more light onto like, all right, look, Lurk24, if you're part of the tabbing or follow for follow community, just get out of that. It's no good for anybody.
Your thoughts on hashtag Brady moving to kick? I'm not sure who hashtag Brady is, but listen, we really, really love new people moving to kick. We're here to support everyone. There's a lot of people moving to kick recently. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of people moving to kick. There's people moving to kick every single day. It's insane. To be fair, there's also people leaving kick. As a platform, kick needs to be trusted. You know, whether that be trusted in terms of the authenticity of view count, so fighting view bots, or also fighting against spammers in the chat, making sure that people have a safe environment. And one of their biggest goals is building out as many tools for streamers to be able to fight back against bots or any kind of malicious activity in their chat. They're working full steam ahead. They've got a really incredible Q4, Q1, Q2 roadmap for 2026 lined up, which is going to be really incredible. So, you know, we do have a team now very much dedicated to solving all those problems. They are very invested, very understanding of what is required to get kicked to an amazing spot. So got full faith in that and looking forward to really making sure that we can keep up in ensuring that people not only trust, you know, whether it's aspects such as view counts from bots and all that kind of stuff, but also trusting to ensure that when they go live, they feel safe.
Any interest in supporting vertical format and compete with YouTube Shorts and TikTok?
Vertical format. Yeah, it's a hot subject, right? Obviously, live streaming is heavily geared towards sort of horizontal right now. Like all your biggest streamers do horizontal or landscape sort of streaming. You know, it is by far and away the biggest form of live streaming. Is that going to change as time goes on? Let's see. Maybe it will. I don't know. I do think that there's ways that we need to start getting ahead of that. I know that you know, obviously TikTok Live is huge. Does it attract a different demographic? Yes, I think so. But you know, I think preparing for the future there is really important. So, you know, there has been a few discussions around what that looks like. We do have a really cool update coming pretty shortly, which is going to potentially allow people to stream far easier, and that could involve a little bit more vertical streaming potentially. And how we actually support this is going to be very important. So, you know, hear you loud and clear on that front. I do think right now for Kick, like our focus is on the more sort of like let's call it the horizontal or traditional live streaming. I think that's really important. You know, right now there's still a huge opportunity to continue to grow in the world where people like really love the current form of live streaming. I do think the people who are, let's say, you know, your big live streamers of the day to day will continue to do your traditional landscape horizontal live streams. It is better and easier, and I think it fits the type of content far better. But who knows? Do we need to get ahead of it? Of course. I think there's more work to be done there. There's so much opportunity to explore it.
Why does it still say beta in the logo at 3 years old? Why? I guess the question is, why are we still in beta?
Oh, I think that comes back to a little bit of the history I was just pointing before, right? In terms of like, you know, realistically, Kick is still a very new company. A very new company. It's 3 years is a decent amount of time, but given the scale at which we've had to grow things and at which we've had to develop everything, it is a momentum, you know, massive task. I think that beta is hopefully going to come up very soon.
Is there any plan to add a Kick partner badge? Kind of like a step up from the verified badge.
Oh man, I don't know about that, honestly. I don't think there's a requirement for that. I think that just creates us another hierarchy. Like, honestly, the verified badge is very difficult to get. It requires a lot of grinding. It's not an easy badge to get. If you have a verified badge, it means you have done an amazing job as a streamer on Kick. Like, the verified team really does their best to try to avoid giving out to people who don't deserve it. So if you have that badge, that's incredible. If you're a partner on top, honestly, I don't think that warrants differentiating too much. Like, I think let's keep it the same. I don't think we want to have this sort of culture of like, you know, this person's better than this person who's better than this person. You know, I think verified is very important to kind of signify, okay, this person here is, you know, really a streamer who has a large following, a large audience, and helps to kind of differentiate just a little bit. But I don't think we want to go any further than that. I think segmenting people is not really a requirement. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe there's demand to do it down the line. Let's see.
Slick Wolf makes the argument that Jackie, who was permabanned for getting into a fender bender, which seems like overkill for her first offense, and then he compares it to a guy like Zeus IRL that got a 3-day ban for a DUI. I am not too familiar with Zeus IRL 3-day ban. I think the crux of this one is like, the inconsistency and moderation, which is something we always kind of pride ourselves on. But Jackie is a good streamer. I don't know where her ban sits with all of this. That's with the moderation team. But as far as inconsistency goes, I think our moderation team is some of the best in the business.
What's a fender bender?
Fender bender is like when you bump someone else. It wasn't a fender bender, like it was an accident, right? Like a fender bender is like a tap, right? Like you're in some bumper cars and your bumpers just kind of tap each other,
Oh, a fender bender. Is that like a US thing?
Yeah, US thing. Definitely a US thing.
Sure,
Yeah,
I was like envisioning she was on like a massive like partying bender or something like. Well, I tell you what, I think that Andrew's point before, the key here is I think Kick's moderation team's the best in the world. Like they do an amazing job. They're incredible. I don't know the situation with Jackie. She sounds, I don't know. There's a lot of people giving a lot of support out there for her. I would really. If for whatever reason Jackie somehow sees this, I would, recommend her to appeal the ban, kind of give us a little bit of insight into what happened.